People can do amazing things out of boredom. They just need the right inspiration, and this lockdown has given them that. It doesn't matter what our materials are. You can make anything out of anything. That's exactly how a man used wood to make a bicycle. And now another one literally made a car in the dorm room. There are also people who use the recycling initiative to create clear replicas of cities they love. Here are 12 homemade inventions that will amaze you. College students have enough on their hands, but that doesn't mean they don't dabble in any other hobbies. It doesn't matter if they have the time or not. If they're willing to do it, they'll make time. This college student, Nguyen Tak Chung, a 23-year-old boy from Hanoi, built his own functioning replica of the Batmobile. He actually designed all the parts in 3D and made the building plans himself too. He even installed the vehicle control systems, brakes, and the lighting too. And if this vehicle wasn't already impressive enough, he also added butterfly doors to it. On top of that, the steering wheel has a Batman logo on it too. All in all, the students spent about $23,000 on it. Are you really patriotic if you don't have a miniature version of your favorite city in your backyard? This Frenchman, Gerard Briand, spent almost 2 decades of his life recreating the French city in his backyard, all out of a garage. In the garden area, he built a mini Paris out of cardboard soup cans and even baby food jars. His initial plan was meant to be much smaller, but as more buildings came to mind, the bigger his project got. After building the most famous Parisian landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and Arc de Triomphe, Briand thought, why not take it a step farther? Thankfully, he decided to go with his gut, and now we have this beautiful masterpiece. Prosthetics can be expensive and can literally cost you an arm and a leg, no pun intended. And that's exactly what led this man to create his own prosthetic hand. First, he made a silicone mold of his amputated hand so the finger extensions would fit perfectly onto his hand. After that, he built the digits and did a lot of coding. Unfortunately, his previous attempts always had a minor flaw that would be too uncomfortable to deal with. So he had to start all over again. Eventually, after much hard work, planning, and learning about material stability, he finally managed to build a functional version. Thor's hammer Mjolnir is one of the most iconic props from the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you're a hardcore fan, you've probably dreamt of holding it. Well, this engineer was so interested with the concept of only lifting the hammer if you were worthy enough, so he made a replica. Alan Pan built the exact hammer that only he could lift. He placed a microwave oven electromagnet into the hammer's head. This created a very strong magnetic field. For the hammer to actually work, it needs to be on a metal surface. But the trick is that the hammer only recognizes Pan's fingerprints. When he touches the hammer, the electromagnetic handle deactivates. David Aguilar, a 19-year-old boy who was born without a right forearm due to a rare condition, decided that he needed to take matters into his own hands. He was always nervous to be around other guys as a kid, but this didn't stop him from prospering like everyone else. He used Lego, a fairly flexible material to work with, to make his own fully functional arm when he was just 18. This first trail arm could be bent at the elbow joints. After he graduated from Universidad Internacional de Catalunya in Spain, he became determined to make these prosthetic arms more affordable and readily available for everyone. The lockdown blues hit us all hard, but for some of us, making ends meet became even more difficult. That's when Donnie Ram Sagu came up with the genius idea of eco-friendly bicycles. He would use wood to make fully functional bicycles. Sagu was one of those who had to deal with unemployment due to the pandemic. But he decided not to give up, and he used all his time to come up with something as amazing as this. This idea was so well received by people that he got orders from China and even South Africa. Since Sagu already had experience repairing wooden furniture, this was no hassle for him. When inventors are left alone at home for too long, they will create anything. And this man, Colin Furs, a 36-year-old plumber, decided to turn his backyard into a bunker man cave. The whole bunker is covered in meters of concrete, but it also has a complete kitchen and part area. He did everything by himself, with the help of his friends and his 3-year-old son. He explains that it's basically a metal box in a hole, and the actual mechanics are simple, but just really huge. Well, at least he'll be safe in any sort of catastrophe. There are parts of us that want to stick to the memories we love, like how Daniel Tolliver decided to turn his car into a Ghostbusters vehicle and have this memory with him forever. He already had a 1981 Cadillac hearse, so he thought, why not turn this into a full-fledged replica of the Ghostbusters vehicle? It took him about a year to build a whole appearance with the logos and the white and red decor. Most of the focus is on the top of the car, and he made all of them by hand. He used wood and PVC pipe and built it all at home during this boring quarantine. Sometimes, having a swing and a slide in your backyard just doesn't do it, especially for a thrill seeker like Ben Holiday. He didn't want a regular backyard, he wanted something like Phineas and Ferb's, and so he decided to build his own roller coaster with a complete 10-feet drop. This 19-year-old guy constructed a huge roller coaster with just plastic pipes. He had to destroy his parents' balcony for that, but it was totally worth it. Just look at the end result. Toothpicks don't have just one purpose. They can be used for any artistic usage too. Take this tennis fan for example. He painstakingly used 12,000 toothpicks just to replicate the Wimbledon center court. Shaminder Singh, a 31-year-old, started Jig's project about 10 months ago and spent over 40 hours a week. He cut, trimmed, and glued tens of thousands of toothpicks one by one so he could get the details just right. He brought different types of toothpicks so he could get the perfect mix of colors to build this tennis court perfectly. 3D printing has made it possible for people to build houses in mere hours. This man from Minnesota decided to use this feature to make something he always wanted, a castle. He had to get the mixture of concrete just right first. Then came the assembly. And since the whole project was made of concrete, it was going to be a heavy one. He spent months on the building plans, but once it was done, it looked like an ancient artifact and as beautiful as history. Mike Newman might not be a king as of yet, but by the looks of his full-fledged castle, it seems like he is. Originally, his plan was to build a log cabin in Belleville, Texas. But one night, he had the amazing idea of creating his own castle. He started to design his dream home by himself. It comes with its own moat, 3,000-pound drawbridge, chapel, and even courtyard. He even has a special wall just to keep all the intruders out. Sometimes, he hosts tours, and he also hosts jousting lessons about 6 days a week. Moreover, you can also hold special events like weddings or parties in his castle. Alright, comment below which of these inventions you found the most amusing. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to TechJoint, and we'll see you in the next one.